Okay. Hello, everyone. Good evening. Welcome back to our English classes. Now, welcome back to our English journey. Now, in this session, I hope that you are all ready for another topic for the week. No, I'm really glad that you are here. So just keep on trying to, sorry. So just keep on being warm, no? Being warm and being comfortable so that you can really learn something later on in my discussion. Okay? Now, in here for another session, we're already finished with a topic on McDonald's vocabulary for the past few days or past few sessions. Now, for this week, I'm going to start with another journey. Now, since we've already done plenty of vocabulary topics, getting to know new words, here, in the following sessions today and in the following sessions, we are going to start our pronunciation journey. So, welcome to our pronunciation journey, everyone. Hi, everyone, again. I greet you a warm welcome to our online discussion on pronunciation. I'm really glad that you are here. Now, when we talk about pronunciation, what comes to mind? What do you think comes to mind? Now, when it comes to participation, or maybe if you want to interact with me, we can always use our live chat or chat box. I am constantly checking on it. I am checking on it from time to time for any kind of comment that may arise. Okay, may it be a comment, a question. I would gladly answer your question as long as it is related to our discussion or any comments, no additional information, or maybe if you wanted to share your experience to everybody, you can always use our live chat for that. Okay, I'm going to read it and of course acknowledge your response. May it be a question, a comment, or an experience that you wanted to share, as long as it is relevant to our discussion. Okay, I would highly encourage your participation because I would be very happy if there are interactions during my stream. Okay. Anyway, again, you can share, you can comment, you can interact with me or with others in our live chat. Okay. Anyway, again, our topic is focusing on pronunciation. That's the general part. But here we are going to focus on the introduction to English sounds. Of course, if we try to delve on new topics, we try to introduce it first. Now, there are multiple areas that we need to discuss, but that would be in the following sessions. For this session, we focus on the introduction first. No, introduction to English sounds. Now, when we talk about pronunciation, sometimes people get a little nervous. Even me, when I'm trying to learn English at the first time, I get a little nervous when it comes to pronunciation. So they might think it's all about sounding exactly like a native speaker. But let me tell you right now, that's absolutely not the goal here. Our main aim is to help you speak English clearly and confidently so that the others can really understand you easily. No? And of course, if they understand you easily, you feel great about expressing yourself. So you can think of it um, like this. Good pronunciation is like a clear roadmap of your for your listener or the one you are speaking to. It helps them follow your thoughts without really getting lost to it. And of course, we all have unique accents that is already given. And of course, that is wonderful. This discussion is about fine tuning those sounds, make your communication smoother and more effective. So it's about building confidence, no, not totally losing your identity um for this particular discussion. So over the next little while, we're going to dive into some practical aspects of English pronunciation. We'll look at key sounds, common challenges, and some tips and tricks that can really make a difference. The best part of this, of course, we'll be doing this together. No, in a supportive and relaxed environment. There are no silly questions here, and every attempt is a step forward. I'm really excited to share some insights with you, and I can't wait to see your active participation. So, this is a space for learning, practicing, and of course, growing at all at your own pace. Okay, so let's get ready to make some progress and boost our speaking confidence. Again, our topic is an introduction to English sounds. Are we all ready to start with another topic? Okay, before that, let's do a breathing exercise, just like we always do. On my cue, inhale, exhale. Again, inhale, exhale. Okay. No, just let out all the negativity, the stresses that was burdening you all throughout the day so that you are really comfortable enough to learn something new for this evening. No, I will be with you for the remaining hour of the evening, for the next hour, not remaining hour. Okay? All right. Again, our topic is on pronunciation, introduction to English sounds specifically. So all throughout the next few sessions, the general umbrella would be the pronunciation, and each day or each session, we're going to focus on a particular subtopic. And for today, that is introduction to English sounds. Okay, everyone. So for our first session today, we're diving straight into a key area of English pronunciation. You know, the of course the knowing what is in it, what do you expect to be learning all throughout the remaining sessions. Okay, so of course you are expected to learn the often interesting, sometimes tricky relationship between English spelling and sound. So before that, let's look at this one. Now let's try to deeply reflect on a simple question because, of course, you are learning something from me, and it's important that you understand why you are learning this particular topic. So, why is pronunciation important? Why do you think is pronunciation important? Are we familiar with the word pronunciation? Are we familiar with it? Now, by definition, pronunciation refers to the way a word or language is spoken. So it encompasses the correct production of the speech sounds, the vowels and the consonants, as well as the appropriate stresses, appropriate the rhythm, and even intonation. So basically, how you enunciate, how you speak a word, a letter, how you highlight it, that's all about pronunciation. And of course, it's very important that we are going to talk about this one because clear pronunciation minimizes any kind of miscommunication. And of course, it helps convey confidence because even if we know a lot of vocabulary, even if we construct good sentences, if we try to speak it and you pronounce it not in a very clear way, it might cause misunderstanding. The result might be that your listener will not be able to get what you're saying. So of course, that's a risk in your communication. It might create or cause conflict. So, of course, we are all different, and when people from different geographic areas use varying pronunciations, you have different accents, they can still usually understand each other seamlessly if you just pronounce each word correctly. Okay? All right. Now, when it comes to English, um, in English, what you see written down and what you hear can be quite different, no? Because that's what makes English really difficult because what a word is spelled out, no, a vocabulary, a term, it does not guarantee that that's how you pronounce it. So, unlike some languages, our letters don't always make just one sound, and one sound can be spelled many ways. So, it's just how English is. Okay? So, our main goal for today is simply to become aware of this. Understanding that spelling doesn't always directly tell you the sound is, directly tell you the sound is. So, the first vital step in improving your pronunciation. Now, it helps us prepare our ears and mouths for the real sounds of English. So, of course, let's explore this foundational idea together. Again, why is pronunciation important? No, a very excellent question to get us thinking. So, this is where your voice comes in. Before I share my thoughts more, no more of my thoughts, there are plenty still. I'd love to hear from all of you. No, I'd love to hear from all of you. You can use our live chat for that one. I am actually constantly checking. No, I'm checking from time to time if there are any kind of responses in our live chat so that I can acknowledge it. Okay? You can share your answer if you want to. Okay? Now, again, don't worry about perfect answers because I'm just asking for your opinion, any kind of opinion, as long as it's relevant to the discussion, then that's good. No, just share what comes to mind, your ideas. Your ideas are all valuable and will help us understand this topic better. So, what are your thoughts? Any more thoughts aside from what I've already mentioned? I think everybody's still shy, but I know you have something in your mind, right? No, I know you have something in your mind. So at least you're thinking. That's already good in a way. Okay? Anyway, let's see at some reasons why is pronunciation important. So pronunciation is important because let me check the stream for a moment. I forgot to do a checking. Let me just check the audio and the PPT, okay? If it's working, totally fine. For a moment. Okay, hello. I'm back. Everything is fine, so we're going to continue with the discussion. Now, again, we're talking about why is pronunciation important? No, we try to reflect on that so that when it comes to the following discussions and even the discussion today, you will realize that this is really important for you. Okay. Now, again, pronunciation is important because of different reasons. There are actually plenty. How many? One, two, three, four, five, six, and seven reasons that I have provided here. Now, let's start with the first one. Here we have intelligibility. Again, this is quite a difficult word, so please listen carefully. Again, intelligibility. How many sounds are you listening? There are how many syllables? Intelligibility. There are seven syllables in total. Again, the word is intelligibility. Now, what do we mean by this one? This means people understand you easily. Okay? So, people understand you easily. So this is about being understood. So that's the focus of intelligibility. When your pronunciation is clear, people understand you easily. No, that's the gist of it. No, they don't have, like, without having to guess or ask you to repeat yourself, it makes conversation flow so much better because from the very first time that they hear what you are saying, they already understand you. And that's already a great thing, right? Because you don't have to repeat yourself, you don't have to ask for any clarifications, you don't have to you don't have to be worried, you don't have to be worried also if yeah, if your listener is really understanding what you're saying or if they are just guessing no what you're saying. So when it comes to intelligibility, try to be understood really easily. How can you be understood easily? Maybe you can use simple words, no simple vocabulary, simple and appropriate vocabulary so that they can understand you much better. Okay? So that is an intelligibility. Pronunciation is important because of intelligibility, no? Because of the need for you to be understood properly by your listener. Because if you pronounce the words clearly, there is much higher possibility that you are going to be understood. No? People understand you easily if you pronounce the words correctly and clearly. Okay? Next, we move on to clarity of meaning. You avoid confusing similar sounding words. Now, sometimes just a slight change in sound can change the whole meaning of a word. So, by focusing on pronunciation, you avoid confusing similar sounding words, ensuring your message is always clear. Now, in English, there are plenty of words that are similar sounding. When we say similar sounding, those who has almost the same sounds and even exactly the same sound. There are words that has exactly the same sounds but different meaning, different spelling, something like that. So avoid confusing similar sounding words. So make sure that when it comes to pronouncing different words, you try to really pronounce it in a correct way. Because if you pronounce it wrong or incorrectly, of course, the possibility of causing misunderstanding is really high. And we don't want that in communicating with other person. We wanted to be understood. So be clear with your meaning. No, be clear with pronouncing similar sounding words. Okay? Next, confidence. You feel more comfortable speaking English, no? If your pronunciation is correct. This is huge, everybody. When you know you're speaking clearly and correctly in English, you naturally feel more comfortable and confident using English. That confidence encourages you to speak more, and the more you speak, the more you improve. So confidence is a really big contributing factor in improving your English pronunciation. Not just English pronunciation, but overall English skills, made in the vocabulary and other areas of English skills. Your confidence would greatly help you to not be discouraged by the first failure when it comes to learning English, but think that this is a lesson learned and you need to improve for the better. So this is huge. Next, effective communication. Your message and feelings come across clearly. So beyond just being understood, good pronunciation helps your message and your feelings come across clearly. So it adds to how well you can express yourself and how well you can connect with others. No? So that is effective communication, because when it comes to pronunciation, you are not just plainly reading the word, but there are certain areas in pronunciation that would highlight the meaning of a word. For example, your intonation, your stresses, because even a one sentence, the same sentence can be meant in different ways depending on how you pronounced a certain word in that sentence. No, so that's how powerful a pronunciation is. Okay. Next, listening skills. You better understand native speakers. Speakers are those who are born to speak English. No, that's their mother tongue. That's their first language, English. Now, this is a cool bonus. When you practice making sounds correctly, your ears become better at hearing those sounds. So this means you'll better understand native speakers even when they are speaking quickly. So it's a two-way street because the reality of speaking to a native speaker is not like this. It's not like what I'm doing right now. But most, if not all, the cases that native speakers would speak to you, they are usually fast. And of course, there's a thick accent to it. So that's a real challenge. So when it comes to this one, you try to acclimate yourself. You try to be familiar with how these particular English words are pronounced so that you can get it immediately if they try to speak to you in a very casual way. Usually in a casual way, there are multiple times that words are cut off, no? Or the words are spoken short in a shorter way. So um you might want to acclimate, no, to be familiar with that. So try to speak and speak and speak and hear and hear and hear the pronunciation of these words so that you're familiar with it. Now you can get it right away if a native speaker is speaking to you. Okay. Next, credibility. Your speech sounds more professional. So when your speech is clear and easy to follow, it simply sounds more professional and polished. So this can be really helpful in academic or work settings. And then last one is social connection. You connect with others more smoothly. Ultimately, the goal is that the language is about connecting with people. We cannot connect with each other if we don't use our mouth or any kind of language, may it be a sign language. No, we communicate with each other through languages. No, all kind of languages. So that's the main bridge in connecting with others. So clear pronunciation makes it smoother to interact with other people, share your ideas to them, and even build relationships with others who speak English. So that's it. No, those are the different reasons why pronunciation is important. So as you can see, it is not just about sounding perfect. It is about opening doors, building confidence and making your English work effectively for you. Okay? Again, the reasons are intelligibility, clarity of meaning, confidence, effective communication, listening skills, credibility, and social connection. Okay, any initial thoughts or questions about these points, everybody? Which one resonates most with you? What do you think? Any initial thoughts that you wanted to share, or maybe additional info or an experience, or maybe a question that you want me to be clarified again? You can use our live chat for that. Okay, I am checking it constantly, consistently, so that I can acknowledge what you wanted to share. Okay? All right. Okay, let's move on to the next slide. Okay, this one. Now, what does this mean? All right, everyone. Now, this slide is a fantastic visual to help us understand a core idea we just discussed about English. Take a look at this slide. You can see one box it says 26 letters. Okay, this one, 26 letters. That is our familiar English alphabet, right? From A to Z, there are 26 English letters. So A, B, C, and so on, all the way to Z, we all know that. No, there's 26 letters. Now, next to it, there's a box for sounds. Considering our discussion about how English works and how spelling doesn't always match the sound, if we have 26 letters, how many distinct sounds do you think the English actually uses to create all its words? No? You can see it on on the slide. Um, we can see it on the slide. In the English language, it actually uses 44 distinct sounds to create all its words. No? 44. That's almost double the number of the English letters. What does this tell us? No? Why is it important to know that there are 26 letters in English alphabet and there's also 44 sounds in English language? What does this tell us? What do you think? This is this is exactly why we cannot always rely on spelling to figure out the pronunciation of the word. No, not at all times. If we try to, for example, this word, this one, that word, if you try to look at its spelling, not its spelling alone, how would you read it? You try to read it as soons, right? No, that's usually it because there's a combination of five different, actually four, yeah, five different sounds. We have the S as S, O as O, U as U, N as N, D as D, and another S or S. So there's a combination of that. But if you try to rely on just spelling alone, you might want to read this word as soons, which is obviously not the correct pronunciation of it. It should be sounds. No, it doesn't make sense if you try to look at the spelling only. Now, how did that particular word became sounds, not sounds? Because again, there are 44 sounds in the English alphabet. If you try to compare it with 26 letters, that's totally a huge difference. Meaning that the letters, no, the 26 letters can sound different. No, there are multiple sounds to a letter, to specific letter. Usually um the vowels have the most different way to pronounce it. No, the A, E, I, O, U. There are multiple ways you can pronounce these vowels. Okay, but yeah, that's how tricky English is. No, you cannot always rely on spelling to figure out the pronunciation of a word. So if we had 44 letters for 44 sounds, it would be much simpler because that means that there is only one sound per letter. Or maybe it would be easier if there are 26 letters and then 26 sounds, or if not, 44 letters and then 44 sounds. As long as it is equal, that would make the pronunciation of English words really much easier. Because again, if it's equal, the number of the letters and the number of the sounds, then that means that there is only one specific sound for each letter. No, you don't have to really to really be worried about how this particular word sounds because again, one letter has one sound. So if that's it, we are going to say it as sounds, not sounds. If and only if there are 26 letters and 26 sounds, or 44 letters and 44 sounds, meaning there's equal number of of the letters to the sounds. But of course, that is not the case in English, no? In some languages, maybe, but in English, no. Instead, we have fewer letters than sounds. It means those 26 letters have to do a lot of double duty. Sometimes not even double duty, triple or quadruple duty. No, they make different sounds. We can generate multiple sounds from just one letter alone, and sometimes combining with other letters, it creates new sounds. For example, the O and U in sounds, that's already combining the letters. No? So this slide really highlights why learning pronunciation as a separate skill is so valuable. It helps us bridge the gap between what we read and what we hear and say. So it confirms that we are on the right track by focusing on sounds, not just letters. So, any final thoughts or questions about this interesting fact before we move on? None? Okay. Again, the main highlight for this one, the bottom line is that there are 26 letters and 44 sounds, meaning you can always rely on the spelling of the word to pronounce it. Okay? All right, next slide. Okay, this is what I'm talking about. Now there are 26 letters, but these 26 letters produces 44 sounds. So there are, that's one. Now this is what I'm talking about. Um, five vowel letters produces more or plenty of sounds. So than consonants. Okay? There are 21 consonants, but there are only 25 consonants all in all. I mean, there are 21 consonant letters, but there are 25 consonant sounds all in all. So there are only four added for that. In comparison, there are five vowel letters, but there are 19 vowel sounds. No, so almost five times. Okay, so this one is a visual summary of everything we have been talking about, bringing it all together in one clear picture. You can see the right at the top. It reminds us 26 letters, 44 sounds. And then it shows us how we get from the 26 letters to our 44 sounds. So look at the top level. On the left, we have our five vowel letters. A, E, I, O, U. And on the right, we have 21 consonant letters. All the others. So now follow the arrows down. Even though we only have five vowel letters, these letters combine and act in different ways to give us a total of 19 vowel sounds. Okay, you can see how those are broken down into different types like short vowel sounds, long vowel sounds, R controlled vowel sounds, and even what we call diphthong, no, which is a combination of two vowels, like in sounds, no, that's O and U, that's diphthong. So we'll explore these specific types more in later sessions. But for now, just notice how many different sounds come from those few vowel letters. So after that, look at the consonant side. Our 21 consonant letters here produces 25 consonant sounds, which are also categorized. So when you add up those 19 vowel sounds and 25 consonant sounds, what do you get? Exactly our 44 total English sounds. So this chart really help us understand why we're focusing on sounds independently from letters, because it shows the rich variety of sounds in English and how our familiar alphabet letters, sorry for that, where am I? Ah, yeah, on alphabet letters. No, that's why our familiar alphabet letters work hard to represent them all. So it's a great roadmap for our pronunciation journey. So, what are your initial thoughts or questions when you see this breakdown? Does it make more sense now that we have more sounds than letters? What do you think? Now, again, we've already in this slide, it gives us a fantastic overview of where all those 44 sounds come from. So you can see how the five vowel letters lead to different types of vowel sounds. There are four actually. We have the short vowel sounds, which consist of six of it. Long vowel sounds, still six of it. R controlled vowel sounds, still, no, not still, but there's five. And the least is diphthongs or vowel sounds, which has two sounds. In total, there are 19 vowel sounds. Now, these categories, these four short vowel sounds, long vowel sounds, R controlled vowel sounds, diphthongs, vowel sounds, they are going to be talked about in later sessions. Okay? We're still in introduction, so let's not yet focus more on the very complex or complicated ones. Now for the consonant sounds, no, there are 25 consonant sounds. They are also categorized into two. We have consonant sounds that has 18 and digraphs sounds which has 7. In total, we have 25 consonant sounds. So we'll be tapping in each of these specific categories in our upcoming sessions, diving deeper into what makes each one unique. So for now, it's just great to see the full picture of how many different sounds we are working with. Okay? Any questions so far, everybody? Let me check the stream. Okay, all good. No questions. All right, let's move on to the next slide. So read the words below. All right, everyone, let's look at this next slide. So that's the instruction. It's the instruction here is simple. No, it is simply read the words below. So I invite you all to take a moment to read these words aloud to yourselves, or if you're comfortable, feel free to read them out in the discussion. So go ahead and give them a read. Take your time. We'll talk about them in a moment. We'll give you 30 seconds to read at your own comfortable space and pace. Okay? 30 seconds, go. Okay, time's up. All right, time's up, everybody. Okay, what do we have here? Now, there are 5 words in total. So there are 5 words being shown in the slide. Now, again, the instruction is read the words below. Have you read it? Are we all good? Have you read? Do you think you've read the words correctly? Okay. Now, before we try to pronounce the words, let me ask you, after reading those words, what did you notice about them? Think back to our discussion of English spelling and sounds. Did anything stand out to you? Any thoughts or observations about how they are written versus how you say them? No, don't be shy, everybody. Don't be shy. Share what came to your mind upon reading these words. Anyway, let me just read the words. No, you can always comment in our live chat. I'm going to still acknowledge, even if I still acknowledge your responses, even if it's not already what we're talking in the at the moment. That would be totally fine, everyone, as long as there is as long as any kind of things that you want to is any kind of things that you want to say in our for our discussion, you say it. You try to share it, okay? Okay. Let me go back to the slide. Again, these are the different words. Now, please hear how I pronounced each word and see for yourself if you pronounced it correctly. Okay? First word. This is island. Again, island. There are two syllables. Again, island. Next, flower, flower, flower. Actually, if you want, you should pronounce it much faster so that it doesn't sound as flower. So you say it as flower, flower. Next, honest, honest. Next, beautiful, beautiful. And last one, no, no. Now, how do you think did you how do you think did you pronounce this word? Have you pronounced these words correctly based from how I pronounce it? Again, the words are island, flower, honest, beautiful, and no. Have you pronounced the words correctly? Okay. As long as you've tried yourself, no, it's totally fine. No, it would be good if you pronounce these words correctly, but if not, then that's also fine. As long as now you already know how to pronounce these words, okay? Again, island, flower, honest, beautiful, no. So that's how you pronounce these words. Now, what do you think is the definition of each word? You're going to find that out one in our vocabulary topic discussion. But let's look at them. Now, when it comes to pronunciation, since pronunciation is our focus here, let's start with island. Did you notice anything about the letter S in this word? Even though it's there in the spelling, we don't actually pronounce it. We do not say Island or Iceland. No, it is a silent letter. The letter S is silent letter. So we say it as I land, not Iceland or Island. Again, the word is island. Next, so that is silent letter S. Next is flower. Now this one is interesting because it's spelled quite differently from how it sounds. Now it rhymes with flower, right? The OU or OW sound is a good example of how sometimes a combination of letters make a unique sound that is not immediately obvious from the individual letters. No, there are different pronunciation rules for each letter for O and U, but there's also a different pronunciation rule for when those two are combined. Okay? So that is again flower. Next, honest. Similar to island, we have another silent letter here. So the H at the beginning is silent. No? We say honest, not honest, but honest. Next, we have beautiful. Beautiful. Now, this word is a great example of how many vowels can combine to make just one or two sounds. No, the EAU combination, this one. Okay, that combination and the I parts don't necessarily make all the sounds you'd expect from each other individually. It's more about the overall sound when these letters are combined. And that is oh, no oh. No, it's a longer word with a few vowel sounds blended together. So you say it as beautiful. Again, beautiful, not beautiful, but beautiful. Okay? All right. That is our fourth word. Next, last one. Here's another classic silent letter. So the K at the beginning of no is silent, just like knife, knock, etc. So we just pronounce this word or the this word as no sound. Okay. All right. Again, the five words are island, flower, honest, beautiful, and no. So, what do these words highlight for us? They perfectly demonstrate that in English. Okay. We have silent letters. That's the first one. Sometimes a letter is written but not spoken. So, you just have to learn which ones. And the next is vowel combinations can be unpredictable. Students here how do you call it, students not students but groups of vowels here or even a single vowels can make sounds you don't expect. No, you find it shocking basically. So these words are great examples of why we cannot always rely on spelling and why listening and practicing the actual sounds is so stressful. So yeah, sound is not stressful but essential. No, so listening and practicing the actual sounds or pronunciation is essential. So don't worry if these tripped you up. That's exactly why we're discussing them. It's all part of building our awareness. Okay, let's move on again. We're done with this one. Let's move on to the next slide. Okay, what are the remaining slides? Now moving on to the slide. Why English sounds different. Now this isn't just a simple statement. It is the very foundation of understanding why pronunciation requires its own special attention. Okay? Now, now, here as a big yellow box says very clearly, in English, what you see isn't always what you hear. So we've already talked about this one, that the spelling of the word doesn't guarantee the pronunciation of it. Okay? So we've seen this already with words like island or no, where letters are present um, in the spelling, but remain completely silent speech. So this isn't a mistake. It's a characteristic of English. Okay. Now, why is English like this? Every language here, as the slide mentions, has its own unique sound system. So think of it like a set rules for how sounds are organized and used um to make words. For example, some languages might have sounded um yeah sounded, how do you call that, every sorry, I got lost for a moment because for some reason my eyes hurt. But anyway, again, in English, what you see isn't always what you hear. So the spelling doesn't guarantee the pronunciation of the word. So there are three bullet points here. First, every language has its own sound system. How it uses sounds to make your words. No, that is the sound system. So every language has its own sound system. Now, when it comes to sound system, you can think of it like a set of rules for how sounds are organized and used to make words. For example, some languages might have be very might have sounds that English doesn't. So, or they might never have silent letters. Their spellings might be very familiar and regular and predictable, where one letter almost always mentioned to one school or one sound. I'm sorry. So for any So, yeah, English does not have a specific sound system, but it's often confusing precisely because of this unique history. Okay, the slide breaks it down. Letters, first bullet point, letters are what we write and see, which is the alphabet. Now, these are our familiar 26 symbols that we use for reading and writing. Sounds, on the other hand, are what we speak and hear from others. So we speak for them and then we hear them. No? These are the actual noises we make with our mouths and listen for with our ears. Okay? So um the core issue, and this is the most crucial part, okay, is that in English, letters and sounds often don't match up directly. So this makes pronunciation really challenging because again, let's go back to the previous slides. How many letters are there? There are 26 English letters in the alphabet, but there are 44 sounds in total. So that's a huge difference, okay? Which makes the pronunciation of the word really much difficult. So if um if what you see isn't always what you hear is really the practice, of course this makes pronunciation really challenging. So why did this mismatch happen? Well, English has a fascinating history. No, it's a language that has borrowed heavily from many other languages over hundreds of years. So from Latin and Greek to French and Norse and many more. When words were borrowed, their spellings often came along with them, but not over time. Okay? But over time, that, okay, sorry. But over time, the way native English speakers pronounce things changed. The spellings, however, often stay the same, leading to this fascinating and sometimes frustrating disconnect between how a word looks and how it sounds. So, if you've ever felt confused, maybe trying to pronounce an English word just by looking at its spelling, know that it is not your fault. Okay? Definitely not your fault. It's because of this historical development. This is precisely why we can, um, sorry. So again, this is why we have 26 letters, but around 44 distinct sounds. Each letter simply has to work harder and be more flexible, representing different sounds in different contexts. So understanding this fundamental point is empowering. It means you can stop trying to force English pronunciation to fit a one letter, one sound rule, and instead you can focus on learning the actual sounds themselves. So it shifts our learning strategy. Instead of guessing based on spelling, we learn to recognize and produce the distinct sounds of English. This awareness is the first and most vital step toward improving your clarity and confidence. Okay? This concept, the distinction between letters and sounds, is exactly why our next session, where we introduce the International Phonetic Alphabet or IPA, will be so helpful. Note the IPA gives us a tool that focuses purely on sounds, bypassing the tricky spelling. So there is a particular symbol for each 44 distinct sounds in English. Okay? So that is why English really sounds different. Again, let me read. In English, what you see isn't always what you hear. It does not guarantee that the spelling of the word is also the pronunciation of it. Every language has its own sound system. Again, what is a sound system? Sound system is basically a set of rules for how sounds are organized and used to make words. Now, next, English has a specific sound system, but it's often confusing because letters are what we write and speak, the alphabet. Sounds are what we speak and hear. Next, in English, letters and sounds often don't match up directly. This makes so this in English, letters and sounds often don't match up directly. This makes pronunciation really challenging for them. Okay. Okay. So this would be the last page for this session. We're going to continue with the discussion in the next session because time is very limited. But anyway, let's do a review of what we've talked about. Now, again, we've opened another topic, no new topic. So we're done with vocabulary. Not actually not yet done with vocabularies, but we've already done plenty much of the topics about vocabulary. So we are going to focus on another area of English that is on pronunciation, which is equally important with vocabulary. Now, again, in pronunciation, there are plenty of subtopics that we're going to talk about. For this evening, we're going to focus on introduction to English sounds. No, of course, we try to introduce something first before we actually left them to try it. Okay, so that is pronunciation, introduction to English sounds. We've asked or we've reflected on why is pronunciation important. That's the first thing. Next, the reasons. Again, the reasons are intelligibility, clarity of meaning, confidence, effective communication, listening skills, and of course, credibility, and social connection. Next, this one. There are 26 letters but 44 sounds. Now, how do we ensure um, that this particular one is sounding the same? No particular word. So there are 44 symbols for each sound in English. So that lesser mistakes would actually not cause any risk. Okay? Next is I've asked you to read the words below. Island, flower, honest, beautiful, and no. And then this is the last slide, explaining why English sounds different. The main point is that in English, what you see isn't always what you hear. Okay? All right. So again, this is our last part of the session. Any questions, everybody? Do we have any? I think none. So I assume that everything is clear. Okay? All right. Now, that is all for today, everyone. I hope you all had a great day with me, had a great hour with me, and see you in our next meeting for another or for a continuation of this topic. Goodbye and thank you, everybody. Also, good night.